Welcome to the best day of your life. It's the best day because from now on, you know the recipe for moose meatloaf and you will be forever changed. In addition to moose meatloaf, we're also going to be making stuffed bell peppers and cheese stuffed moose meatloaf. The ingredients are mainly the same, but if you make stuffed bell peppers, you're going to need some white rice, some green onions, and of course some bell peppers. Red is the best, but you can also go with yellow. And then for cheese stuffed moose meatloaf, shredded mozzarella cheese is the best. Now the key ingredient to all of this is magic swamp dust. It's shown here on the far right. It is the best way possible to make any kind of moose meat, just one step higher. You can make moose meatloaf without it, but it won't be as good. Now getting ready, preheat your oven to 350 degrees and make sure your rack is set up in the middle. Step 1 is to add your moose burger into the mixer. You can also do this by hand. I chose not to since I have a mixer. And you just want to stir it a little bit and break it up into smaller pieces so that way it's evenly mixed and you can add your other ingredients. Now step 2 is to add the egg first, and then make sure that gets mixed in real well before adding your salt and pepper, which is the next step. And then from there, once that mixed, you add in the magic swamp dust. Now there's no set amount of salt, pepper, and magic swamp dust for this recipe. It's tailored to your likings, which is what makes it also the best. But generally 1 egg. You don't want more than 1 egg. Now step 3 is to turn off the mixer and let that sit while you open up your tomato sauce. I prefer to punch holes in the top versus removing the whole top of the can. This allows it to be easier to pour and control how much you pour out of the can, because you're only going to want to add half of the can in this step. You want to save the other half to go on top later. So once your tomato sauce is mixed in, turn off the mixer again and start working on the crackers. Now, you add the whole roll of saltine crackers into a gallon Ziploc bag. You can go salted or unsalted with the crackers. I prefer salted, but it works either ways. And make sure the top of the Ziploc bag is sealed shut, because you'll end up with crushed crackers all over the counter, which is no fun to clean up. And you want to make sure that the crackers are crushed small enough, but not too fine. Just small pieces, no bigger than a pea. And then slowly shake the bag into the mixer while your moose meat is mixing, again on the lowest step. If you turn the mixer up higher, it's very likely that little bits of moose burger will fly about the kitchen, and that is also no fun to clean up. I say this because I've done it from experience many times. Think I've finally learned. I didn't miss it this time. Now the key step is to check and make sure that the moose burger mixture is wet enough. You can see on the left that the moose burger, after mixed with the mixer, has not really stuck to the paddle, whereas on the right, after all the ingredients are mixed in, it does stick and it forms a pretty nice sized ball on the paddle. Now if it doesn't stick after adding all the ingredients, you might want to add just a little bit more tomato sauce to get the right consistency. And so the difference between a regular moose meatloaf and stuffed bell peppers is the white rice and green onions. So I did this on a 1 pepper size scale, but generally, if you do the whole batch, 1 pound of burger can be spread about 4 bell peppers. But I just mixed in, I had somebody mix in because I didn't want to touch the moose meat. I don't know if you can blame me or not, but my hands were clean up until this point. I wanted to keep them clean. So I enlisted someone for help, but as you can see, we just mixed it in, got it all nice and shaped into a ball just for picture's sake, and then moved on to cutting open the bell pepper. So what you want to do with the bell pepper is just cut off the top stem portion and then clean out all the seeds. From there, just stuff little bits of the moose burger into the bell pepper and pack it in real nice and tight, and then cut the bell pepper in half, and your finished product should look something like on the right. After that, if you're not making stuffed bell peppers, ignore the last few slides. and spoon in the moose burger mixture without rice and bell peppers and green onions. Spoon it into your baking dish. There's no need to grease it. It'll come right out nicely. Just spoon it in, smash it down, and I like to tuck my little spatula in around the edges just to kind of break it off the wall. And if you're making stuffed meatloaf, the mixture is the exact same as regular meatloaf, but I like to put it in a higher pan. That way I can create a wall with burger on the sides. And from there, sprinkle in the shredded cheese. I tore up a piece of smoked cheese and added that in because, like I said before, the recipe is really adaptable to your personal preferences. And I only had one slice of cheese left, so I figured, why not? What could a piece of sliced cheese hurt in my moose meatloaf? So after you get it all nice in, make sure that the cheese isn't overlapping the wall that we created and it's not touching the side of the metal pan. And then scoop in the other half of moose burger and spread it out nice and evenly across the top. And then from there, you stick them in the oven and turn the timer on for about 35 minutes. And then once that timer goes off, you're going to want to use the other half of the tomato sauce that we saved from earlier and put a nice layer over the top of your moose meatloaf. Depending on what you choose, you could put it on the stuffed moose meatloaf, the moose meatloaf bell peppers, or just the regular moose meatloaf. Either way, all three recipes call for it on top. And then your final product should look like this. It's nice and crispy on the inside and real smooth and yummy. And scoop it out, put it on a plate, serve it with some rice, mashed potatoes, anything you want. It's awesome.